Welcome back to the Financial Safety Net. I'm Kristen Felder with Collision Hub, and this is part two of my paper for independent collision repair shop owners. In part one, we talked about the warnings behind the paper, the danger of ownership becoming completely separated from the physical work that creates the revenue. We also looked at how the car changed the collision repair business once before in 1979 during the Unibody era, and then why today's vehicle may be changing the business again. In this section, we move from the warning to the market math. Because this is not just a slow year. This is not just a temporary dip. This is a market reset. And many shops are still carrying the overhead structure that they built when the work was plentiful. The full paper is available through a link in the description. Now, let's begin part two. The market the independent shop faces today. Well, the first problem is simple. The work's shrinking. The pool of repairable cars is getting smaller, and this is a market reset, not a bad year. In 2025, repairable claim volume fell 9.7% across all coverages. And at the same time, total loss frequency hit a record 23.1% of claims. That means roughly 1 in 4 cars that once might have become a repair now goes to the salvage yard because of the sensors, airbags, complex materials. The repair costs push the vehicle past what an insurer is willing to pay. High deductibles drain the smaller jobs as well. More than a quarter of drivers now carry deductibles of $1,000 or more. That means a lot of the smaller repairs, well, they never enter the claim system at all. And underlying frequency keeps falling even as the overall car park grows. That matters because it tells us that it's not just simply a bad year. This is a market change. Safer vehicles, changed behavior, higher deductibles, more total losses, less repairable. The work is shrinking. And the work that remains, it costs more. The cars that still make it into the repairable pool are more expensive to fix, and the cost pressure is not just coming from one place. It's coming from everywhere all at once. Paint and materials continue to climb. All 4 major refinish suppliers, PPG, Axalta, BASF, AkzoNobel, raised prices into 2026 from 6.8% to 7.6% total. It's almost a 10% increase in the year. And that's on top of the prior increases over the prior years. When every major supplier moves in the same direction, well, there's just no easy vendor switch that solves the problem. You can't just ask for more discount. The shop simply pays more to do the same work they were doing last year. But materials are only one piece of it because your rent costs more, utilities cost more, your insurance costs more, equipment costs more, training costs more, and your employee benefits cost more. Software subscriptions, scan tools, information providers, waste disposal, paint booth maintenance, uniforms, payroll taxes, credit card fees, and the administrative labor all cost more. The shop's monthly portion has grown, whether the number of repairable cars has grown or not. Well, and then there's labor. The collision industry spent years warning about the skilled labor shortage. Now, that warning was not wrong. The industry really does have a talent problem. But the way the message was repeated created its own consequences. We told the market over and over that technicians were scarce, estimators were hard to find, painters were almost impossible to replace, and skilled people had all of the leverage. Well, eventually that workforce believed us. Now, many technicians, painters, estimators, and production employees expect compensation that reflects that scarcity. In many markets, 6-figure expectations are no longer unusual. For the truly skilled, productive, and accountable person, that salary may be justified. A great technician or a painter could still be worth every dollar they earn. The problem is that the expectation spread faster than the skill. Not every person asking for premium pay delivers premium production, premium quality, or premium judgment. But once the labor market resets upward, the shop owner is forced to compete in that new reality. Without clear standards for advancement, training, quality, productivity, and accountability, compensation becomes a reactive instead of strategic. The shop pays out of fear instead of paying for proven value. You are no longer just paying for the person's ability. You are paying against the fear that if they leave, you may not be able to replace them. That is what makes skilled labor different than any other cost in the shop. A gallon of clear does not give notice. An electric bill does not take your production capacity to a shop down the street. A key employee can. That turns skilled labor into both a necessary asset and a single point of failure. If the painter leaves, the paint department stalls. If the body tech leaves, structural and panel work stops. If the estimator leaves, the administrative flow breaks. In a growing market, shops could often carry that risk because the volume kept coming. In a shrinking market, the same payroll becomes much harder to support. The shop still has to pay high wages, benefits, taxes, insurance, and overhead, but it may not have enough work flowing through the building to keep those people fully productive. That's the squeeze. The work costs more to perform, the people cost more to keep, and the business needs more gross profit from fewer repairable jobs just to stand still. This is why the ownership skill gap matters so much. When the owner cannot perform any of the physical work, every skilled role has to be purchased from the labor market. The business becomes fully dependent on hiring, retaining, and paying other people to create revenue. That may work when the volume is strong, but when the work slows, the shop has no way to shrink without losing the very hands that deliver the cars. The question is no longer whether skilled labor is valuable. It is. The question is whether a small independent shop can afford to build its entire survival around skilled labor it does not own, cannot control, and may not be able to replace. So that brings us to the next point. The math stopped working. The collision industry is not only dealing with less work, it's dealing with less work while trying to support the overhead it added during those better years. From roughly 2020 through 2023, many shops lived through what looked like a gilded age. Work was plentiful, backlogs were common, revenue was strong. Now, labor was hard to find. It felt on the surface like the industry had entered this new level of prosperity. But just like the historical Gilded Age, the shine hit a deeper problem. Many businesses expanded their overhead during those years. More employees, more management, more certifications, more equipment, more software, more subscriptions, more administrative support, more fixed costs. At the same time, some of that made sense. The work was there to support it. But now, the math is different. Claims are down, gross revenue is down, repairable volume is thinner, total losses are higher, insurers are tightening what they pay. Materials, labor, benefits, rent, utilities, insurance, and equipment costs are all higher than they were before. Yet many shops are still trying to carry the overhead structure that they built during those high volume years. And that's a big problem. The business grew its expense load during the good years, but the revenue environment that supported that expense load, well, it's just no longer there. In other words, the math ain't mathin'. Cost went up, overhead inflated, revenue came down, reimbursement started moving the wrong way. It is a sequence many independent shops are now trying to survive. This is where knowing the craft becomes more than a point of pride. It becomes a financial safety net. Knowing the craft gives the owner a lever to pull when overhead has to come down, but the work has still got to get delivered. An owner who can perform the work, well, they got a lever to pull when the business needs to reduce that overhead. They can shrink payroll without shrinking the shop's ability to deliver cars. They can step into production when volume slows, when a key employee leaves, or when cash flow just does not support the same staffing model. An owner who cannot perform the work, well, they don't have that lever to pull. Their only options are to keep paying the people who can do the work, whether the volume supports it or not, or cut the people who do the work and lose production capacity at the exact moment the business needs cash the most. That is why learning the trade may be one of the most important tools in the toolbox for the years ahead. Craft knowledge is not the opposite of business knowledge. In this market, craft knowledge may be what makes the business knowledgeable usable. That's the financial setup. And the revenue side is not standing still either. While costs rise, reimbursement is starting to drop. In the fall of 2025, there was a survey. One in four shops reported at least one insurer was paying a lower labor rate than it had paid in the first quarter of the same year. A labor rate reduction. It's not a refusal to a raise. It's an actual cut. And this is happening while insurers post strong results. State Farm reported 4.6 billion auto underwriting gain and a record $5 billion dividend, cutting consumer premiums while citing less costly physical damage claims as the reason. That savings from fewer, cheaper claims flows to shareholders and policyholders, but it doesn't flow to the shop. So this is a market reset. Less repairable work, more total losses, higher deductibles, higher cost, higher labor pressure, more expensive operations, and insurers tightening everything. That is why this is not just about whether a shop can grow. The more important question may be whether the shop can survive. And that is where we'll stop for part two. In part three, we'll look at why this market lands hardest in the middle, why scale is not the same thing as freedom, and why insurers were able to automate their way out of labor exposure that shops cannot. So, download the full paper using the link in the description if you want it. And if this raised questions about your own shop, your estimating, your customer communication, your insurance process, or your business model, look at the C20 groups from Collision Hub. The goal is not just to understand what is changing. The goal is to build a shop with options. When the work slows, the shop becomes the safety net.